Hi, Today All Day. We have a great show for you on this Monday morning, including an empowering interview with the granddaughters of entertainment legends. But let's kick it off with Pop Star. There are so many things we love about fixer-upper star Chip Gaines, and today he has an exclusive announcement you can only see here. Take a look. Guess what?
What?
Carson is here.
I'm frozen.
He's back. You guys, we're
People at home have no idea.
yeah.
Have you reported?
Yeah, I was just
Can you
Is there a
see the
blizzard?
goosebumps?
Seriously,
We
look
can.
at-
Oh, actually, yeah,
I don't
please
know
zoom
if
in.
you
Look
can
at the hair on Dylan's arm.
I like it cold. My house is 65 at all times. This is
This
like
is like 55.
This is
Yeah,
legit
it is.
meat locker situation.
A cold front.
It's going to be
love
jerky
it.
by the end of the show.
Well, welcome.
Well, let's get to Pop Star. It's going to be back. First up, Bob Ross, the iconic artist behind possibly one of the most calming shows to ever air on television. That is The Joy of Painting. Is the subject of a new Netflix documentary titled Bob Ross, Happy Accidents, Betrayal, and Greed. The doc tells us the untold story of the famous painting instructor's career and the shocking battle over his business empire. And in an exclusive first look at the film, we see the joy Ross felt from teaching new students. Have a look.
Bob liked the thrill of watching a new student smile with a fresh, new, beautiful painting. Bob would just make him so happy, it's unreal. It's like, man, did I do this? I couldn't have. Yes, you did.
There's a lot going on besides painting, and I think people are aware of that and they enjoy that.
I want to know more.
Bob Ross, Happy Accident, what's in the title? Betrayal and Greed. You wouldn't expect those.
Not
They
at all.
turn there, Carson.
That's right. That hits Netflix this Wednesday. Next up, our buddy Chip Gaines. There's so many things we've come to love about Chip, the fixer-upper star. And high on that list, of course, would have to be his beautiful head of hair. So big news from Chip now about those flowing golden locks. He's decided to chop them off, but it's for a good cause. Starting today, Chip is teaming up with St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital for a fundraising event to benefit their life-saving mission of finding cures and saving children. 4 years ago, Chip did this. He launched the first Operation Haircut and raised $230,000 on social media. This time around, for every fundraising milestone he hits, Chip has agreed to chop off an additional extra inches of his hair. If you'd like some more information about Chip Gaines' hair, you can go to his Instagram page, and we'll be sure and give you details on the website that we have too, today.com. That campaign begins today and runs through Friday. Good for him. Next up, Justin Timberlake. You guys teased this a little while ago. He sings, he dances, and apparently he works at Target. Not really, but there's a video out now that's gone viral. It's seen over 2 million times, and it shows Justin behind the register. He's ringing up his buddy's purchases inside a Target.
Yeah.
Oh, you got icebreakers?
Yeah, I got the speaker and the drink.
What else did you want?
Yeah, just a piece of gum.
Gum?
Yeah, thanks, man.
Interesting strategy there. He rings up the gum and the mints and he just puts them right back on the
Wait,
plate.
what is he doing?
Seems to have
He has
been
a lot to learn.
successful trip. There's another video posted to TikTok by Douglas Anthony where the two are seen just jamming in the parking lot with a speaker in hand. This happens
There
in
you go.
California
Yeah,
a lot.
It happens all the time.
If you like walking out, you see like a regular person in California, like, my God, that guy looks just like Keanu Reeves, and you realize, oh, it is Keanu
Yeah.
Reeves. It's California.
And for the most part, sometimes they leave people alone. I was just telling Tom I had LL Cool J on my flight 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Nobody even recognized that it was him. I'm like, the skull cap.
say anything?
I didn't say he was in having a moment. He had his earphones in, and nobody bothered him. So
Right.
how it works.
Next up, Harrison Ford, the Indiana Jones star, who's used to playing a hero on screen, made a quick stop over the weekend. This is a great story. At a London firehouse to brighten a real-life hero's day. The Westminster London Fire Brigade tweeted, Han Solo comes to Soho. Mr. Ford was kind enough to congratulate firefighter Andrew Shaw on his last night shift for 31 years of service. That is one pretty cool send-off into retirement for Mr. Shaw. Ford is currently in London shooting the 5th installment of Indiana Jones. And finally, Gwen Stefani, our buddy, celebrated a pretty big milestone for their family over the weekend. Her son Zuma is officially a teenager. Gwen sharing a look inside the birthday celebrations with Blake and the other boys there. You got Zuma in the middle. It's Apollo and Kingston. And tugging at the heartstrings with this sweet post on Instagram writing, happy 13th birthday to my Zuma baby. We love you so much. They grow up so fast.
Oh, that's so
They
sweet.
do. Great young
Yeah.
fans. So happy birthday.
I love that. Did you know Dylan Dreyer's first concert ever? No doubt.
Was no
Wow,
doubt.
you are young. That's awesome.
Person I was allowed to go to,
Out of college and went on tour with No Doubt.
What was your first concert, Carson?
Ziggy Marley.
Ziggy Marley.
County Bowl, Santa Barbara.
Really quickly while we're talking.
You know, I don't even want to say this. Vanilla Ice and
Oh,
MC
wow.
Hammer.
I like
That was
All right,
big in
Nice.
Miami. Yeah.
And mine was MC Hammer and Boys to Men.
Yeah, okay.
That's a good show.
There you
Hammer
go.
put on a good show.
I wanted to be a Hammer girl. Really.
Dylan's was
Could've been.
BTS. Is that what you said it was?
A couple weeks
The
ago.
Jonas Brothers?
Yeah, that was a little more recent.
Welcome back. Today on the third hour, Dylan and Tom Yamas join me for an Overheard on Third you don't want to miss. Take a look.
It is time for Overheard on Third. I notice I'm wearing some sriracha from the last segment. It's that good, you'll want to wear it. So today we're actually talking about some parenting mistakes. And on Reddit, mom and dads actually shared how parents could learn from their own mistakes before it's too late. Some were, really heartfelt, like make sure you make time for your kids because, time goes so fast. Others suggest, don't make one parent good cop and the other parent bad cop. But some were more fun, a little more humorous, like those baby clothes made with the really wide necks. That's so which I just told you.
Yeah, I didn't know
That's
about
so you
that.
could put it on, foot
From the
first,
bottom?
as opposed to trying to squeeze it over their head. Who knew?
Are you sure about that? I don't.
Yes, you've
Okay.
never tried it?
Never
It's
tried
the
it,
easiest way to take it off, too.
Like a
'Cause if they
onesie?
especially if they go to the bathroom, through,
Yeah.
and they go through
Right,
the
you don't
diaper.
wanna get in their face
You don't
or
want to
head.
rub it up
Yeah,
on
yeah.
their face, so you pull it
I
down.
gotta find these clothes. Okay.
Are there any parenting mistakes that you would like to share?
I don't really have any.
Oh, look at Miss,
None?
Miss Perfect Parent.
Oh,
here.
no,
Yeah.
no, I'm trying
Not
to think
at all?
of mistakes that I've made. I'm just so perfect. No, I'm just
yeah,
kidding. No, I can't think of anything. Give me one.
I'll help
Give
you
me
out.
example.
We were really lax about our kids sleeping and coming to our bed. And we went through
okay,
that
that's a
phase
good
with
one.
each of them where they'd come to our bed, we have to go back, and then I meet some parents who are like, oh, we never. Yeah, this is how I travel with my kids here in the back of a
nice.
Yeti backpack. But
so cute.
you meet parents sometimes are like, oh, we never allowed that. We locked our door, or we sent them straight away. It took us a while. All of them are sleeping in their beds. Our
yeah.
3-year-old will sometimes
Come back
but-
in. Can I tell you something, though? I don't think that was a mistake. I actually regret not doing that because I feel like, so our little guy, he had his own little space, he had his own little room, and so he just kind of knew that was his space.
Right.
But now that he's like 12 and almost taller than me, I want him to snuggle.
want him to snuggle.
You're
So
going
I
into
feel
his
like
bed.
if you're in a phase where your little one is constantly crawling into your bed and you're like, ugh, it eventually will end, and those days go by so fast.
Calvin's
So
in that phase right now. We tried buying one of those clocks, where it
Oh, we've
turns
done that.
green when he can
Yeah.
come in. But then
Wait,
when he
what?
comes in, so there's a clock. It's red, he can't leave the bed. But when it's green, he can leave the bed. So I set it to 2 o'clock in the morning. So he comes in at 2.
They have stuffies like that
yes.
too, little toys,
But
right?
then he comes in and he's like, "Yay, mommy!" And I'm like, "How could I give this up?" It's just
Because then
it's
they
so
get
sweet.
too big, and
they do take up
our
a
little
lot
guy he'll go
They
horizontal,
sit this
yeah,
way.
and it's just
Yeah, and then you add the dog in and stuff. So we talked about this before the break, trying to remember names.
yeah.
Are you good
I'm
with
not
names?
good at it.
I'm terrible.
Try to. I mean,
The
it's
second
like
you
everybody
tell
else.
me your name, it's forgotten.
I know. It's such a horrible quality. And I want to be better.
I do want to be better. Well,
Yeah.
we can be better
Okay.
because there's an article in the Washington Post that here is a trick that you can do. So someone tells you their name, say it back to yourself 10 seconds later, okay? Then say their name in your head again, then 30 seconds later, say their name again, then 2 minutes later, then 5 minutes later, then 10 minutes later. Just keep remembering to say their name in your head over and over. It seems like a lot of work.
That is a lot of
That
work.
sounds like
And that should help to
crazy.
remember somebody's
you have to really be
name.
worth it for me to be
I try to do the association, okay, your name is the same name as my sister-in-law or something so
Right,
that way
right.
I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I don't forget.
Or if your name's like Joaquin, I'll remember that.
Right. Well, that's my problem. Is because my name is unusual. You too,
Dylan, yeah.
People tend to remember
Tom,
unusual names.
forget about
Sorry.
it.
I was writing notes down. I was like, what are their names? Okay.
All right, real quick. One, we were also talking about this. There's another article in the Washington Post. Have you ever had a dream about your significant other that just kind of set you off and upset you? And
Yeah.
have you ever woke up mad the next morning?
Oh, yeah.
Has that happened to you guys?
It just happened the other day. I had a dream that I was running outside to tell Brian something, and he was standing there with a bag of frozen French fries, and I was crying my eyes out. And I said, "Where are you going?" He's like, "Well, I'm going to go meet the girls from Saturday Night Live." And I was like, no. Okay, so then I wake up, and the next day I was so mad at him.
Oh, my gosh.
Because he left me to go eat French fries with another girl.
Wait, are the girls from SNL kind of cool?
I don't
Are they
even know what he said. Which girls were they?
But it's a dream. Oh, it is.
He
That's
doesn't
funny.
know anything.
That's hilarious.
I'm not alone, right?
Well, you're lucky.
Yeah, no,
you
no,
didn't-
I've had that. No, I've had the same thing, where you're, and this is gonna sound so weird, but you dream your spouses with hanging out with someone else. You're like, what? And you wake up upset. You're like, what
Yes.
was going on last night?
Oh, she's so pretty.
Yeah, there she is.
Yeah.
She's trying to all these dudes are trying to hang out with her. I'm like, stop talking to them.
She's mine. That's good
right.
stuff. We'll be
We'll
right
be right
back. You guys need psychologists
Bye.
or something. Welcome back today on Hoda and Jenna. Jenna sits down with the granddaughters of Lucille Ball, Audrey Hepburn and Eleanor Roosevelt, to hear the lessons they learned from their legendary grandmothers. Take a look.
I feel like every time you turn around, if you look, there's someone who inspires you. And sometimes it's like someone who you meet and you're like, oh my God, how did you do that? How are you so driven?
Yes.
Yeah, and like, let's talk about those.
Okay. So since we're celebrating women, let's do a little fun game we call Celebrating Women.
Okay.
So who was the woman when you were young that you looked up to?
Well, I looked up to my mom, but I actually looked up to all the women in our family because on my mom's side, I knew my mom grew up in Egypt, and her mother was among the first female doctors, and her aunt was the first female lawyer in Egypt. So when I walked around, you thought like, oh my God, that blood's in my veins. Like I can do things, and you don't think about it, but you go, oh my gosh, I've got that.
How cool is that, by the way?
That was really cool.
You were one of the first women to be a women-only team.
Yeah. Oh my God.
You're
right.
Today Show.
That's something. That's something. That's something. All right. Tell me about you.
It's the women in my family too. Like it's almost cliche to say that your mom and your grandmothers taught you to use your voices, but of course they were the ones that we watched. And I'm named after my grandma Jenna, whom nobody really knows.
Yeah.
She never graduated. My mom's mom. She never graduated from college, but she studied at Midland Community College her entire life till she had to quit driving.
Wait, what?
And she didn't travel the way that my other grandmother traveled, but she read National Geographic and dreamed of it. So she taught me to love to read too.
Who did you interview that really struck you and you're like, wow?
Maya Angelou.
Oh my God, tell me.
And she wrote a book about her mom. Speaking of womanhood, she wrote a book about her mom, and I was pregnant with my first child, Mila. And I sat in her home and, just wept.
I'm getting chills
It was the best. I mean, she was somebody that I always admired. What about you?
Oh, my God. I mean, I've interviewed so many cool people. I just interviewed Roz Brewer, who's the new CEO of Walgreens. I adore Viola Davis. If I want to feel uplifted on social media, we only have a second. But Viola is like my go-to number one. You hit her thing, she's always lifting people up.
I followed her because of you. Okay. Lucille Ball, Audrey Hepburn, Eleanor Roosevelt, women you all know and admire who broke barriers in entertainment and politics and paved the way for generations to come.
Well, now, we want you to meet their granddaughters, who we had the opportunity to meet recently. They shared some of their fondest memories and the lessons they learned from their legendary grandmothers.
It says right here, we work miracles.
In the 1950s, Lucille Ball broke new ground in television with her series I Love Lucy, along the way becoming one of the most iconic entertainers of all time. But for Kate Luckenbill Connor, her recollections of the woman who is her grandmother are a little different. You were 4 years old when your grandma, you called her Nana, when she passed away. Do you have memories of her from back then?
I do. She was really involved in my life at that time. She would wrap my little tufts of hair in these curlers and put me in silk pajamas. She loved being a grandma.
As you grew up after she had passed, did you have any idea, just how big she was?
I didn't watch the show a lot as a kid, and then I started watching it in my 20s. I called my mom one day, in a tizzy, and said, Mom, this show is really funny.
Of course, Lucille and Desi Arnaz were married for a time off-screen as well, after giving birth to Kate's mother, Lucy Arnaz, and later a son, Desi Jr. Lucille went on to become the first female head of a major Hollywood studio, Desilu. Your Nana didn't set out to become an icon.
No. And she didn't even want to be the head of the studio. And she still called Desi all the time and said, what do I do? I don't want to do this. But she just did things because she had to. She wore pants because she liked pants, not because she wanted to say women should wear pants.
Just as Lucille was ruling the small screen in the 1950s, Audrey Hepburn was making her mark on the big screen.
Well, hello, how are you?
Reaching a level of fame her granddaughter Emma Ferrer is still struggling to grasp.
I know you never got to meet your grandmother. How old were you when you realize the impact that she had?
I still haven't truly realized the impact that she's had. My dad sat me down probably when I was about 4 and tried to explain. And slowly I started going to friends' houses and seeing that she was in a poster in their kitchen, or I would see her on a t-shirt or on handbags. And I kind of was like, you know, I guess this actually is a bigger deal than I thought it was.
An avid dancer in her teens, Audrey was just 24 years old when she earned an Oscar for her role in Roman Holiday.
Thank you so very much.
You're in your mid-20s, which is when your grandmother was this huge Hollywood icon. How do you reckon with that?
When 21 rolled around and I was like, okay, what have I done? It's kind of like inevitable to compare and despair, as they say. It's like this dichotomy of wishing that I had had the chance to know her and also feeling like really intimidated by who she is and how like amazing she is.
Well, I've got a wonderful idea.
Audrey's role in Breakfast at Tiffany's solidified her status as a fashion icon, and some of her looks live on through Emma today.
I have like sweaters that I just have worn so much over the years, and I'll put it on and like forget that it's hers, and then I'll like be painting and be like, wait, no, don't get paint on this. Stop.
Audrey had 2 children, including Emma's father, Sean Hepburn Ferrer. In the 1970s, she stepped out of the spotlight and focused on motherhood. Later, she would embrace her role as a UNICEF ambassador, up until losing her battle to cancer at just 63 years old.
Sometimes it's hard to be connected to somebody that you didn't really know, but probably plays a huge part in your life. How do you stay close with her?
Having sort of begun my own journey working with humanitarian organizations, this has been a way for me to really kind of feel a connection to her in her UNICEF years. I think that she really revolutionized what we take for granted today, a celebrity of her magnitude associated with a cause like she was. I don't know if we can really appreciate how revolutionary that impact was.
Revolutionary is how many remember former First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt, including her granddaughter Anne Roosevelt and her great-granddaughter Tracy Roosevelt.
She was a person who said, I want things to change. I want my life to change. And then she just would go do it.
Something that was really important to her was making sure that women could stand on equal footing economically. I really do feel like she just set this amazing example.
Later known for her outspokenness, Eleanor was initially reluctant to step into the public eye. She became First Lady in 1933 at age 48, during her husband, Franklin Delano Roosevelt's first of 4 terms as president.
There was a quote where she said, I'm just going to be a plain, ordinary First Lady, which I think anybody that studied her knows that is not the case.
I really think she didn't want the role. She didn't want to have the spotlight trained on her, and so part of her was terrified.
She was very humble, and so I think that she thought sort of, why me? Why am I going to be in the spotlight now?
Eleanor went on to redefine the role of First Lady, holding press conferences, writing columns, and fighting for human rights. But to her family, she will always be Grandmère.
What do you feel like in your family her legacy has been?
We all have a love for Grandmère.
You see inspiration from Eleanor Roosevelt that we each take, because she was never afraid of standing up. She was not a bystander.
Generations of young people still resonate to her vulnerability, her humility, her determination, her courage to stand out, to not be silent.
Isn't it so cool to see how these awesome women are carrying out their grandmother's legacies and doing such incredible work on their own right?
It is time for a media edition of Make Ahead Monday, and Jordan Andino, chef and owner of Flipsigi here in New York, is going to show us how to make a pork adobo. Jordan, good morning. I've never had this before, but I've been nibbling little bites, and this is amazing. What did you do?
Yes. Well, good morning, everyone. How are you doing? Yeah, adobo just in general is the national dish of the Philippines. So I feel as a Filipino, my goal is to give it to everyone and educate everyone on how delicious and simple this is.
Well, if this is simple, I'm all in because it's amazing.
How do you get to start? I'm like starving.
I don't know. I think you're I've got a fork in front of me.
So you actually started with a large cut of meat, which I feel like most people can find somewhat intimidating. How do you start?
Yeah, so that's why. So I have a glove right here just for in terms of time management. But right here you have actually a pork butt or a pork shoulder. So what I like about this is that it's a delicious cut of meat, but it just takes some time to braise. It's cheap, it's easy, and it's not that intimidating. Notice it's really big. All you got to do, it's typically boneless and skinless.
Okay.
So all you got to do is just pretty much cut it up into maybe 1.5, 2-inch cubes. It doesn't need to be pretty. You kind of just go at it and just make large cubes so that it just cuts the cooking time down from like 3 hours to maybe 2 hours instead.
Oh my gosh,
so
it's so
super
good.
simple. Yeah, you just have the, chunks like this. As you guys can see, it's not, too crazy.
Okay.
And then once you break down your big piece, you'll have kind of your nice bowl of like already chopped up meat right there. You guys are enjoying it already.
So what are you adding? What are you adding?
Yeah,
before
where is all this flavor
the
coming
flavor
from?
is coming, like before it starts to braise.
Yeah, so all you have to do, it's pretty simple at that point. Once it's cut, let's pretend the stove top is right here. We have my pot. All you got to do is add a little bit of oil to the base, and this is going to help you saute and caramelize everything and garner a lot more flavor from the minced garlic, which I just threw in. And then after that, once the garlic browns, you're going to throw in your pork shoulder that you just cut. So you're just going to put that in and just let that really kind of brown and just get some more flavor and a little bit of caramelization.
It's not too hard. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
No, it's
It is
perfect.
So delicious.
Yeah, no, and it's supposed to be just delicious and easy. After that, the flavor that you guys are getting comes from a couple of things. It's going to be your oyster sauce, which is like seafood oyster flavored sauce, along with a little bit of sriracha, which is kind of you're going to give your hot and sweetness right there. But really, what I want to concentrate on the flavors are these three ingredients right here. You have your swan sea soy, and then your dati puti vinegar, and then your mushroom soy sauce.
Where do you get those?
My grandmother's going to kill me. These are the 3 combination recipe to make the adobo, and the true Filipinos out there will really appreciate these.
Yeah, that vinegar,
Secret's
you
out.
can
Yeah,
taste
so
that
all you got to
vinegar.
do, basically all you got to do is just pour all this in there. It's super simple. You just pour it in. It's about like 3/4 cup of the swan soy, 3/4 cup of the dark mushroom soy. Those have a lot of sodium in it, so you don't need to add any salt. That's going to give you that awesome flavor. And then that tanginess that you guys are tasting is from this cane sugar vinegar from the Philippines here.
Where can you buy that?
So, there's a couple of we'll call them Asian marts all around, like Queens, Jersey, and in the East Village. And also Chinatown. It's hard to find, but once you do find it, these are ingredients that you always want to keep stocked because it's so delicious, and it's a great replacement for just your regular kind of white vinegar.
Well,
It is so good.
But
Jordan, I'm enjoying
so
this
once
over rice, but I know you can also, once you're left with all these leftovers, you can turn it into this amazing torta.
Yum.
Yeah, you're right. So, once it's done, you have your beautiful plate like this, which you guys are having, and then you have your torta. So your torta, which you guys have right there, are, that's how we get to the leftover Mondays, because you make a big, batch of this 2-pound pork. You got to build a sandwich. So I have mine right here. All you guys got to see right there is you have your, your toast and then your meat, and it's already made. All you got to do is just start building it. So you have your bottom bun, a little bit of mayo, a little bit of hot sauce. But the real concentration here are your pickled onions. So I started with very simple pickled onions. It's just salt, sugar, white vinegar. Boil it, throw in some red onions, and you get that beautiful pink color there.
So good.
Yeah, it's going to add like a really nice tang.
Hey, real quick, yeah, because pork is so hard to cook for some people. And I got to say, I'm Cuban, so like Filipinos, we eat a lot of pork. This is amazing. How do you know when your pork's done?
Okay, that's a great question. So I'm going to show you guys what that's supposed to look like. So as you guys can see, you know because of how tender everything is. So all you got to do is just cook it, braise it for pretty much like 2 hours, and then you're going to get this. And I'll give you a nice little reveal real quick. It should look something like that.
Oh, okay.
So any of you guys can see it. It just really falls apart. So here's how you know. You know that everything's ready. You just got to take your pork, put it on a plate, and then you're going to see how easy it is. You just take a fork or two and just press it.
Wow.
There you go.
That's why it's so
and you're going to
delicious.
see how quickly it is to pull, because that's how you know it's done. 2 hours, medium heat. And look at that. It just comes apart like that.
Jordan, we are out of time, but we
have happy plates.
We can't stop eating.
We've eaten all of our
I've had sauce all over my face, so I'm trying to keep this clean. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Delicious.
Of course, guys. Thank you so much for having me. Enjoy.
For these recipes and more, head to today.com/food. You have to make them.
I'm still holding my fork.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Find your favorite recipes, celebrity interviews, uplifting stories, shop our favorite deals, and so much more with the Today app. Download it now.